Frankie, we're gonna make a delightful fall macaroni and cheese with caramelized onions today on BoxMac. So I've got a treat in store for us today, Frankie. I have crafted a recipe, a fall-themed recipe, based on the idea of caramelized onions. Remember, we had recently from the wonderful Cabot Company a caramelized onion mac, and that kind of inspired me a little bit to really dive into the idea of a fall caramelized macaroni and cheese with Gruyère as the primary cheese. Gruyère and Swiss.
What made you choose Gruyère?
When I was thinking through the idea, I was like, all right, French onion soup. If you're gonna make a French onion soup, what do you have in a French onion soup? You have the French onions and you put the Gruyère on top and then you have it together. And that's a really nice combination. And then Swiss is another cheese that's also used sometimes instead of or with Gruyère as the topping for it. And then I wanted to throw in a little cheddar just because.
Because you want to make sure it tastes like cheese at the end of the day. Is this your recipe?
This is my recipe. I've never made it before. It could be a total disaster.
And you're not afraid of bacon?
No. Bacon.
It can have an overwhelming flavor, and it can also really kind of mess with your texture.
My texture. It's not going to go in the mac, but it's going to be the topper. I just want it to be like a little initial flavor on top.
Are you baking this motherfucker?
I'm not sure if you're asking me if I'm going to bake the bacon or if I'm going to bacon it.
Are you going to bake the mac and cheese?
No, absolutely not. We don't, we're not for bacon around here.
No.
Every time on this show we've done a baked mac and cheese, it was better before I put it into the oven. Look, I've got a lot of cheese here that needs a lot of grating.
I would give that an A+.
Okay.
C-.
Yeah, how about this?
I think I grated all the cheese.
That was a great joke,
How about
Frankie.
this one? We're here, we're Gruyère, get used to it.
Gender Gruyère.
Let me talk a little bit about what I got here first, the ingredients, to go into the ingredient hole, if I might.
Don't touch it.
Oh, it's too hot to touch. Don't touch the ingredient hole. I've got some cayenne, some slow smoked applewood bacon. I've never tried this before, but I wanted something a little appley, like applewood, and a smoked flavor to kind of make that fall go. I have made these caramelized onions last night. I couldn't make them on the show because it takes about 45 minutes to make caramelized onions. These are Vidalia onions that I caramelized down with a little bit of salt, some butter, and a little bit of olive oil. We've got Grey Poupon mustard. We've got the Gruyère, we've got the Swiss. I've got some Parmesan here as well, some Parmigiano Romano. Kate's butter for the butter. Fresh nutmeg.
Wow. I don't think I've ever seen it in the nut form in a container like this.
You've never seen a whole nutmeg before. I wouldn't have bought whole nutmeg except that it was on super sale. I just thought that's really cool to like grate our own fresh nutmeg. Supposedly it's a lot better than pre-ground
really?
stuff.
We'll see.
Got some fall-shaped pasta here. So have we ever done this on the show before?
We did that year that we did the Mac Baking Championship.
Okay, but it's back again. And I've also got some smoked paprika here as well. So I'm pretty excited to get going.
How's Zach doing in there?
Fine.
So Frankie, I'm gonna have you do Parmesan.
I have a Halloweeny topic of discussion. I like to play retro video games.
Do you?
Have you ever played these before? Your Sonic the Hedgehogs, your Super Marios,
Sure,
your
yeah.
Contras. And around this time of year, I got a million ways to play them.
Yep.
And there's a million games.
Sure.
And I always feel like there's games I haven't played probably. And so around this time of year, I like to look into YouTube, what are some horror retro games? And there was a creator last year who did giant compilations of all of them. NES, Famicom, and Super Nintendo. There were hundreds. Well, the only way that there's hundreds is if you have a little bit of a category error. I believe he included too many games simply because they had monsters in them, simply because they had like aliens.
They were Halloween games, that's what he called
Well,
them?
he called them 16-bit horror titles for Halloween.
If I try to think of 16-bit horror titles, I can think of a couple.
Ghouls and Goblins
Yeah.
and like
Addams Family.
Addams Family, Beetlejuice for NES. There's definitely some. Chiller for NES, which was the absolutely gruesome light gun game that started in the arcade. I'd never seen it before until I went to Fun Spot last year. I was having to avert Gloria's eyes.
Really? It was that bad?
Yeah, it was from like 86.
What system?
It was arcade initially and it came to NES. It's like a bunch of like tortured, dying people that...
In a dungeon, right?
In a dungeon.
Yeah.
But anyway, my point is this. I think that Alien, Ridley Scott's Alien, confused the issue. Yes, that is a horror movie.
Absolutely.
And I think like maybe B-movie horror,
Yeah.
B-movie sci-fi can be Halloweeny, but I wouldn't call Men in Black Halloween.
No.
Well, is the Addams Family franchise Halloween?
Yes.
But they're not horror.
True, but they're gothic, which is much more Halloweeny than sci-fi.
Yeah, I mean, I've gotten pushback before for calling Addams Family a Halloween movie.
Really? Beetlejuice, Addams Family, firmly
Yeah,
Halloween movie.
sure.
But like Ghostbusters, I don't think so.
You don't think it's a Halloween movie?
I don't think so.
Meanwhile, I'm starting a roux over here. I've got 2 sticks of butter, so you know it's going to be good. 2 sticks of Kate's fine butter.
My Halloween viewing this year will definitely include the Halloween episode of Ted.
Really? I've seen some episodes from that show and they were great.
Hilarious.
Did you like the movies?
I thought the movies were okay, but I thought that the TV show was fantastic. The sister wanted to go to a party and needed a designated driver, so Ted was the designated driver. He dresses up like an Ewok. He ends up getting wasted at the party. She dressed up like Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman, which is a quick way to my heart. And meanwhile, Ted's best friend, you know, the teen version of Mark Wahlberg, he has to stay by himself, and the mom brings over one of her friend's sons, who turns out to be about 39 years old. And he's like a very, very weird person.
It takes place in the 90s?
Yeah, and they have a really good Christmas episode too, but we won't talk about that at this moment.
No.
They have a lovely floor model Sony trim.
Oh, true.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah. Did you have a floor model as a kid?
No, we always had it on the same TV stand that's still over my father's house today, where his TV is.
So we wanted to go see Beetlejuice 2, but we really wanted to go with Glow. And it seemed like it would be appropriate, and ultimately we did. But we wanted to show her the first one first, and it can be hard to introduce children to kind of oldish movies.
Yes.
This is how she got interested in it. She was like, can we go get the projector? Because we have a projector that we do for outdoor movies.
Yeah.
She's like, can we project it on the wall and watch it that way? And we had ourselves a little movie theater Beetlejuice
That
time.
sounds lovely.
And she loved it so much that we ran out right afterwards and saw Beetlejuice 2.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
I got some applewood bacon that's going in the air fryer. I remember when I was a kid, I saw it when it came out, which I think was a slightly not great decision on my parents'
Back
behalf.
when the F word was in a PG movie.
Yeah.
Nice fucking model, honk honk.
The first time I watched it, everything was going fine until nice fucking tree, or whatever the line is.
Model.
Nice
Honk,
fucking
honk.
model.
And he honks his crotch.
And I distinctly remember the look on my father's face.
Turn off this crotch honking movie.
This like entered my psyche, this whole idea of like life after death. I would write these like little books of like, you know, the guide to the undead and give them
Yes.
to my friends, and my friends' mothers became very concerned about it.
Really?
Yes.
You became macabre. How many gothic kids do you think that movie alone, through the, the depiction of Lydia Dietz, created?
I myself am strange and unusual.
Got a half cup of flour here, EJ. Putting it in with the butter.
I just love that with Beetlejuice, they thought, you know what, this would make a good children's cartoon.
Yeah.
You know? This ghoul that tries to like force Mary.
After the success of Beetlejuice, you had Little Monsters with Howie Mandel, and you had Drop Dead Fred. There was kind of a period there of like, you know, your creepy, insane mascot, and he's back, baby. The juice is loose.
When you get into these ruts, your performance becomes very low. At that time, you want to rotate and
I've been doing that.
You have been?
Yeah.
Just offering tips. You're doing awesome.
Thank you.
Looks good. I'm gonna sample the cheese.
So after watching Beetlejuice 2, what was your assessment? Because a lot of these reboots are like,
I thought it had a lot of energy. It had a lot of good laughs. Michael Keaton at 73 years old.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing how.
It's kind of incredible. You know, the plot is kind of paper thin and a little overpacked with nonsense, but at the end of the day, you got yourself a Beetlejuice movie, and I think that that's a nice thing.
What's the story with the father?
We mustn't say.
Oh, yeah, there was some controversy.
Yeah, there was controversy.
EJ, in all of your meat adventures, have you ever smoked bacon before?
You know, I haven't. Actually, my father-in-law, he gets pork belly from like just like a meat outlet, and he does smoke it and dry it so that you can actually eat it raw.
Really?
It's like cured meat. If you watch Beans for My Dad, I use some of his bacon.
I'm not a huge fan of General Bacon.
Here's a litmus test. If you're out to breakfast at a diner, you have a choice: bacon, sausage, or home fries on the side.
Sausage. I'm going sausage.
Yeah. Oh. It's almost Christmassy. I heard that Denny's had some kind of breakfast tie-in with Beetlejuice. Some sort of Beetlejuice breakfast you can get.
I heard that there was a total missed opportunity in that movie. You know, at the end of Beetlejuice 1, he's back, he's got the number, and it would have been amazing.
If he was still waiting?
Yeah, if he was still waiting.
The first thing I thought when I saw the movie was, why wouldn't they have done that?
Why? Yeah, it's so it's so obvious, and it would have been so funny. That looks like a perfect amount of that cheese, Frankie. I think you're all set.
So you're not concerned that mixing all these cheeses together will...
It's all going in the same basic bin.
Yeah, but don't you think the individual flavors of each delicious cheese will be lost when it's...
It's a witch's brew. Tale of a rat, call in the spirits.
Here, try a little bit of this one on top, Frankie. Just cheddar. This is a caramelized onion cheddar.
Dang, dude, it's so good.
I thought to reinforce my caramelized onion flavor with a caramelized onion cheddar.
I think you're gonna make something special here. I wouldn't go easy on the Grey Poupon. Is now a good time for me to try a Halloween treat?
Oh, absolutely, Frankie.
What we have here is a signature cookie from the donut factory. It's got eyeballs, it's got a little bit of Oreo.
Did it have a signature name? A good pun?
Monster cookie.
Oh.
Here's the deal. If anybody watches my and EJ's podcast, they would know that last year we went to this place called the Donut Factory that has all these signature donuts, and they served me an insane shake that took like 30 minutes and held up the line out the door. It was a big problem. But they just opened a satellite store in Dartmouth, and they just are selling things that don't need to be made.
That don't take 30 minutes?
Cookies and signature donuts and this sort of thing. Tastes like a cookie.
After all that hype up, it's a cookie.
Yeah, I just want a little piece.
Have a cookie, a munchy monster cookie.
It's very blue.
Too blue to consume?
No, it's a little too blue for me to consume. Yeah, it tastes like a decent cookie.
Yeah. Maybe a little too thick.
Yeah.
It looks like a Tim Burton creation.
Yeah, it does. So I don't know exactly what the movie would be about, but I've drawn some sketches I'd like to show you. Maybe he's sort of like he's a cookie that didn't fit in with the other children in the cookie class. And so he sort of stayed in the back of the bakery. And then one day, another shy girl cookie comes up to him and says, I'm actually from the undead cookie lands. And he says, oh, I've always read about those. Michael Keaton says, my agent connected us. I met with him. I liked him. I liked Tim Burton. I wanted to work with him. But I gotta tell you, I have no idea what the hell he was talking about. I don't know what he wanted to make. He just showed me sketches of sad people and people that were zombies and stuff. And Danny Elfman says the same. He's like, well, normally Tim starts the process by showing up with sketches, and then I start writing music to the sketches.
What do you think of some of his more recent ones, like The Corpse Bride?
I'm not a fan, but I went to Spirit Halloween recently, and they had a huge Corpse Bride animatronic display.
Wow.
And I was like, has this thing endured?
I remember it being a beautiful film, but it didn't have a whole lot of gravitas to
It's
it.
because we didn't write a script. We just drew sketches and then wrote music to the sketches.
Sleepy Hollow?
I like that movie. Nina loves that.
I think it's beautifully stylized, for sure.
At this point, any property that should have been connected with Tim Burton probably has been. Wednesday, Sleepy Hollow, Roald Dahl with James and the Giant Peach and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Batman, Ed Wood, that pretty much covers all your B-movie sci-fi, Alice in Wonderland, Sweeney Todd.
I think that The Nightmare Before Christmas was a beautiful movie. I'm sick of seeing it being advertised.
I was sick of it being advertised about 20 years ago, and I'm back to not caring.
Frankie, would you like to try a little Swiss? This is real Swiss.
Favorite Treehouse of Horror, go.
Oh God, the one with the 3D Homer.
I think that's the one with mascots.
Another one of my favorite segments was where Bart turns into a fly, and where Homer travels through time with the toaster.
What about like the early one, like Monkey's Claw?
That's great too, though. That has like an early Simpsons feel.
Man smart, a woman is smarter.
I so wanted a full-length version of that track, and there is no full-length version of that track.
Woman is. Man, this thing's really getting out of hand.
I really like Lisa making her own civilization out of the tooth.
Yeah, I remember that one.
I had to explain to Gloria recently why it was really funny when Homer stuck the stake through Burns' crotch.
Dad, that's his crotch.
And then we went over, we actually looked at the You Know What's BS episode of Cinemassacre. James did a video some years ago that was like, wait a minute, if you really add up all of the ways you can kill a vampire, there's too many ways to kill a vampire. Sunlight, garlic, you don't even have to invite him in.
I'm gonna do a little fresh nutmegging over here.
See you in several days.
No, it's going pretty quick. Right in the room. And you can start adding that cheese now, Matt.
Now, John, if you're ever on my Plex, you look up Tiny Toons Night Ghoulery.
Oh, I'm definitely gonna.
The animation is just so exquisite.
Yeah.
It was kind of similar to the Nightmare Gallery parody on The Simpsons.
Smoked paprika.
Smoked paprika, ooh, look at that. They did the whole gremlin on the side of the plane gag.
In the original Twilight, it was William Shatner.
Yeah, yeah. And Plucky is talking like William Shatner the whole time.
You're so right, Hambones. This craft, this beautiful ship, it's our lady, and we love her.
So I had to explain to Gloria, like, so there was a guy.
Sorry. Must have been the... No, I thought I saw something out there.
We have Grey Poupon Dijon mustard. I've got my caramelized onions here. They're just about to go into the cheese sauce. I think that cheese sauce is just about ready to go.
It tastes like the fall.
It does. It's, interesting. Well, let's see how it goes. This is way too much cheese sauce. I'm not even gonna put all of it in.
The bacon could come in and box out all the other flavors like an asshole.
Look at that nice crumble. That's a good crumble on that bacon.
Got a nice sound.
Let's get some ASMR here.
Hey, it's Junt. Happy Halloween. Today we're gonna cut some bacon. You've had such a hard week.
The hard week comment. That's like exactly what they say. You did so great this week.
You are so underappreciated at your job. You contribute more than anyone knows, but I know about the contributions.
I know how special you are.
Now let's cut this bacon.
So you can.
That joke's not making it into the episode.
Are you serving?
I am.
Holy shit.
May I decorate yours with bacon, Frankie?
Please. We didn't know what we were gonna make, and John did this.
John, did you know what you were doing when you started this?
No. Well, today, yes. I did do some premeditation. You could tell by the correct that I caramelized onions for 40 minutes last night. But,
And nothing else.
yes, I totally didn't buy $70 worth of groceries to make this macaroni and cheese.
Well, this looks beautiful. I'll start off
Sure
with saying
does.
that.
The green throws me off slightly. I have to remind myself it's just pasta, not veggies. Yeah, I think it's really good. I mean, Gruyère is the signature flavor, I think.
Yeah. Do you think it's pretty well balanced with the caramelized onion?
Oh yeah, I think those are very helpful.
I think it's pretty good.
It is good, but I don't think I could eat too much of it
No.
before it started to
Much like the Christmas
weigh
ones.
me down.
Yeah, or block you up.
Yeah, it's very heavy.
I don't want a traffic jam in my rectum. If you really want a fright this Halloween.
Eat a whole pot of this mac.
You like it? A few extra ingredients, I see.
It's good. It's very oniony. Onion forward, but I like onion.
Yeah, there was too much onion. When I write the recipe for the site, I'm going to reduce the onions by maybe 40%. And I'll reduce the amount of cheese sauce too. I have fresh pepper right here. That's a great idea, Zach.
It's a two-handed operation.
You hold, I'll spin, that kind of thing?
As far as fall Macs go and Halloween Macs, I think this is right up there.
Yeah.
I mean, this was you pretty much just leaning into the things you would want to see at a Mac. All right, happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween!